Again, my name is Gabe Zollner. Really interesting article on the Western Center for Journalism. Evidence of criminal activity inside of Congress. No, that can't be. That's impossible. This has got to be a misprint. I mean, come on. Evidence of criminal activity inside of Congress? Impossible. Well, I guess not. So anyway, I don't know if you guys know this, but last year Congress passed what they call the Stock Act. And what this was designed to do was designed to prevent people like Pelosi making $6 million bucks by learning what Polson wants to do as far as, you know, giving money to the banks, and then she goes out and buys Visa stock and picks up $6 million overnight. I think her husband did the same. Anyway, so what happened was they passed the Stock Act last year, I think in April. And, you know, I mean, it was designed to whereby if they're going to buy stock, they've got to publicize it, they got to put it on the web, we have to know what they're doing. And not only included them, but their staffs as well, all right? Anyway, so now they did it for like almost a year. And then on April the 11th of this year, they introduced a bill. It was introduced by Harry Reid, and Obama signed it into law on the 15th. And what this bill does is it sort of changes things a little bit, you know what I mean? And it says that they've got some time now, and the original Stock Act was passed on the 4th of April, and now they've got to sort of, you know, hang loose. And the new one, which starts in 214, and it requires the President, the Vice President, and members of Congress to disclose their trades, but it doesn't mention their staffs, whereas before their staffs were mentioned. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you know, this is the American way. What happens is they get to Congress, they have sort of meager means, and they leave multi-millionaires. Now, this is one way they do it. There's other ways, too, like a book you want to go get, and I've mentioned this before, is Throw Them All Out by Peter Schwarzer. It's like $14.95 or $15.95, and it's about 185, 190 pages. Very easy to read, large letters, you know. Anyway, and what it does is it just shows you how corrupt a lot of these people are, and it names them, you know. I mean, you take, for example, our new Secretary of State, John Kerry. And I have made mention of this numerous times. Well, he goes ahead and he has a boat commissioned. And he has it commissioned to be built in New Zealand. He couldn't buy American because Americans don't know how to build yachts. You know what I mean? So, well, which isn't true, but obviously he felt that was the case. This boat costs like, not a boat, correction, a yacht. This yacht costs around, I think, $6.5, $7 million. So what he does is he registered the boat in Rhode Island. He doesn't live in Rhode Island. But you see, Massachusetts charges a 10% tax. So here, by doing it in Rhode Island, where they don't have a tax, isn't that creative of him? I mean, think about it, you know? And what he did was, he saved his wife, because it's her money, he saved her like $700,000 or $600,000. It's not bad, but he got caught. I don't know if he ever paid it, though. They said he got caught, but who knows, you know what I mean? They just looked the other way. It's okay, Johnny. Then he was just a senator, you know? He was a big-time senator. Yeah. Have you seen how shitty he looks now? Boy, I'll tell you what, this travel is not agreeing with him, you know? I mean, I just saw him, I think, 2 days ago. He looked like he was like 95 years old. He looked like he was ridden hard and put away wet, as the old expression goes. This guy's not made for a lot of travel. He's used to, you know, going down to the dock, jumping on his yacht, you know, going out for a sail in the bay out there, and coming back. He's not used to flying and sleeping in different time zones, a day here, a day lost there. This guy is falling apart. But anyway, that's not what this is about. This is about how the law has been changed, and it's not to our advantage. You know what I mean? Yeah, it never is. Yeah, the book, though, is really good, and you really want to get it. I think it also talks about Pelosi. And it talks about her visa deal. But also there's something else that they do. You know, like, for example, and I've said this before as well, I hope I'm not boring you with this, but Pelosi goes out and buys an apartment building. And her hubby buys one too, downtown San Francisco somewhere. And, I guess they're okay buildings, but the problem with the buildings is they didn't have access to transportation, you know what I mean? So a lot of people that live in apartments don't necessarily afford to have cars. So ideally what they look for is apartments to rent that have readily accessible transit. So what does she do? Well, being creative as she did, she gets onto an appropriation committee and she says, you know what we've got to do? We've got to revitalize downtown San Francisco. Yes, we do. So what she does is say, well, how about we put a train line, right through, right there. And look at all the people it'll bring down to the waterfront. So what happens is you and I and the taxpayers, we pay, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars to build this rail line. And guess what? It's within walking distance of her apartment buildings and her hubbies. Yeah, that's in the book. That just gives you an example of what they do. They're very creative. Another guy, I can't remember his name, but, he buys some swampland. Well, actually, not swampland. It's just, it's out in that boondock somewhere. And he decides that we need to run a highway right through to revitalize this little town. And guess where the highway runs right through? Yeah, his land. So his investment, gazillion times more than what he paid for it. But hey, it's the American way. You got to be creative. You can't knock them for doing stuff like this. They're creative. Yeah, sure they are. And you know what? They have a lot of time to be creative when you think about it. They have, 100 sessions a year? That leaves them 365 days plus 100. They have 265 days a year to be creative. Well, you can come up with a lot of good ideas when you've got that much time to be creative. Huh? Yeah, you got to give it to them, boy. These guys, they know how to do it. And the working slobs don't have time because they're working. What do they work? Out of 365 days, the average person that's employed probably works 340 or 50. Yeah, probably 50 with 2 weeks off. Yeah, it's a good deal. Tell you what, though, anybody that doesn't send their kid to go become a representative and try to get elected, they're missing the boat. There's no advantage. Look at the money that's made in this government. Just ask Pelosi, ask Kerry Reid, ask any one of them. They'll tell you.